Hey there, I'm Jenny Kirk and welcome along to my channel. Thanks for watching, and today we're going to be doing a box opening and review, and we're going to go for something a little bit simpler than what we've done in the past, but nonetheless quite important. And we've got here a Bachmann model, and this is catalogue number 38-380. But this is one of the ex-LNER ventilated vans that Bachmann brought out a little while since now, and they've done them in a whole number of different liveries. And this is one of the wagons that I talked about quite a while ago when we did the J. Skinner open wagon, 5-plank open wagon review earlier this year. I talked about the other wagon that I'd got at the same time, and this was actually it. And you can see that I've tried to peel it off. It's not that I'm just sort of being smug or anything, but it just wouldn't peel off, so I thought rather than messing about scraping at bits of paper, he had a whole load of older stock that had just hung around in the shop. He hadn't moved the prices on up, so it meant that you could buy them at the older prices, and actually it was remarkably good value for money. We've got our typical Bachmann box here, and I'm going to open this up and slide it out. And we've done that many reviews, to be honest. There's not really anything that needs to be said about the box. In fact, this hasn't actually been out of the box at all since I bought it. So we've still got that bit of sellotape on there. New wagon feel. Trying to get the blooming thing open. So just pop that open. Gosh, this is sticking together. Something rotten. No, not to my fingers. Oops. Let's put that to one side. And there does seem to be, I don't know whether it's the factory that packs them runs out of one particular material and uses another, but sometimes with these you find tissue paper like in the like this. Other times you have that sort of slidey, shiny plastic, and yet other times I've even seen like a very, very thin white, almost like a foam substance. So a bit of variety there. It doesn't really matter, it's all doing the same job, which is to stop in transit the paint on the roof getting sort of scratched and marked. But there we have it. It's the I think it's the early BR Bauxite livery. But this really was, when Bachmann introduced it, everybody thought it couldn't really up their game. They'd already produced a lot of really good ventilated vans in the Blue Ribbon range. And with this, they kind of went a little bit further. We've got separately applied door handles on there. And we've also got the vacuum brake hoses on their stanchions. And that's something that, whilst they've done a lot of vacuum brake wagons, quite often, until comparatively recently, they'd never modelled the actual vacuum hoses. So it's nice to see those there. The buffers are not sprung, but as you well know by now, if you've been watching a lot of my videos, I'm not a big fan of detail for the sake of detail, and there's so few people who would make any kind of use of actual sprung buffers. I think, you know, this does not detract from the wagon in the slightest for having them in that way. If we look at the underside, it's comparatively simple there, but we've got, they're actually clasp brakes, and this was a bit of a departure for Bachmann wagons. Quite often they've had the fairly simple one brake block per wheel chassied wagons that they've been doing, but with this they've gone all out and modelled the clasp brakes, and we've got quite nice representation of all the brake gear and linkage underneath. And the wagon is not symmetrical insofar as we have perfectly accurate brake gear for the left side and the right side of the wagon. So you can see there we've got all the linkage there, but we turn it over and we've got a much simpler linkage on this side. I think that's so that the handbrake is always on the right hand side of the wagon, even though the brake linkage is tucked away down one side of the wagon. And it's all nicely put together. These are very crisp and detailed parts. The brake blocks line up with the wheels, and then we've also got some of these other wire linkages that all come factory fitted. As you saw, I just popped the seal on this for the first time. So what you see is what you get the moment you first open one of these. And it's all just really nicely put together. The couplings are there in NEM pockets, which are actually quite nicely hidden behind all this. The clasp brakes give you a little bit more brake gear that hides that NEM pocket quite well. So if you wanted to fit these with another form of coupling, you don't necessarily have to see that ugly great block that the NEM coupling pocket clips into. The actual paint finish is nicely done. It's not really gloss and it's not really matte, but in this scale it looks really quite nice. It just looks right is the best way I can describe it. And we've got this very crisp planking detail. There's no kind of fuzziness from the mould or anything like that, and the paint has been applied to such an extent that it doesn't obscure any of the detail that's moulded in there. We also get a representation of the sliding door. It doesn't actually slide on this model, and it's something that in this scale, sliding doors would be very much in the realm of gimmicks, and they'd be just far too fragile. So I'm quite happy with them the way they are. We've got a representation of the metal stanchion edges, but then we've actually got this corrugated metal ends, and it's moulded in the plastic, but these corrugations are really nicely done. They do look genuinely as if they could well be metal. They're not, it's all part of the plastic moulding, but certainly in a very expensive kit built or scratch built wagon, you'd probably do those as some kind of brass etch, but it's really, really nicely done. The roof itself doesn't really have any detail whatsoever. But the actual moulding, it's smooth, it's crisp, there's no flaws in the actual either the painting or the plastic of the model, and it's just altogether a nice wagon to add some degree of variety to your goods trains. And they've produced them now in early and late liveries, so I already had one in the later livery with the stenciled van fit code on the side and the XP applied. And they also do one in the original North Eastern Railway livery, and they make very, very useful wagons for a variety of goods trains. And the real ones would have been seen up and down the country. I believe these particular wagons in frontline service may have lasted as late as the early 1970s. Certainly I've had a look on the Paul Bartlett site, which is a really good resource for looking for photographs of actual wagons, and I can't find any that lasted long enough to receive a TOPS code, but I believe that theoretically had they done so, they would have received the triple V TOPS code, although I'm not aware that any actually did. I think a couple may have made it into the engineers fleet, but as of yet, Bachmann have not done any models of the late-lasting wagons. Anyway, I hope that's been informative to you. It's nice sometimes just to have a look at perhaps what some of the less sexy, more mundane items of rolling stock that are in the Bachmann Hornby Helgen ranges. And certainly this wagon, even though it's quite simple, and as you saw from the box, they can still be had brand new for quite a reasonable price. They go into making some really good varied goods rolling stock. Don't forget to like this video, share it too, and stay tuned and subscribe to this channel, and you'll be the first to know about new videos as and when they come up. And have a look back through all those videos that we've done. There's an awful lot of variety in there, something for everyone. Thank you very much for watching this. This is me, Jenny Kirk. Until next time, saying bye for now.